It's close to the due date. My husband Oliver is drunk. He is acting spoiled and wants me to pick him up. I hurried to the restaurant, but I found out it was just a trap. They tricked me into coming here. It was actually for Oliver's first love. My sister-in-law has deep feelings for Oliver. She came without hesitation even while pregnant. That's true. They are indeed recognized as a model couple in the circle. I heard their laughter, but I didn't take it to heart at all. My eyes were fixed on Oliver and Sophia. Sophia, Oliver's first love. Why is she back? I was puzzled. Sophia walked towards me with a drink in hand. She swayed her hips as she came closer, looking at her energetic appearance, then looking at my own bloated figure. A sense of inferiority slowly spread in my heart. You must be Emily. You really are quite beautiful. I missed your wedding with Oliver. I just returned to the country today. I specifically came to make up for this drink. When Sophia mentioned it later, her tone clearly became more intense. She handed me a glass of wine, but I didn't take it. I directly raised my hand to refuse. I'm pregnant. Sophia's tone was calm as water, but her eyes were already red. She asked, Emily, do you care about my past with Oliver? Don't overthink it. What happened between us has long been over. I sincerely hope you and Oliver can be happy. Sophia's eyes were filled with expectation. Oliver's friends saw my hesitant expression. Their expressions became serious. They also began to persuade me. Sister-in-law, Sophia means well too, just drink it. That's right. Does sister-in-law really still care about these past trivial matters? Everyone chimed in to persuade me, but I couldn't take any of it in. My gaze is always fixed on my husband, Oliver. I wonder what his attitude is. Will he care about the child I am carrying? Oliver's expression is calm, but the lighter in his hand is spinning faster and faster. Suddenly, with a click sound, Oliver lights the lighter. He speaks slowly. Emily, drink it. Sophia means well too. Oliver's voice comes through. I stiffen. My face is filled with surprise. A wave of deep sadness surges in my heart. I feel as if I've fallen into an ice cellar. Oliver, I'm pregnant. Emily's voice carries a hint of pleading, but Oliver remains unmoved. He furrows his brows. His face turns a bit ugly. Emily, I don't want to repeat myself. Oliver's cold voice seeps into my bones. A sharp pain spreads throughout my body. I should have thought of this long ago. It was when Oliver married me. It was just because of his mother's wishes. Even having children, it was merely to continue the family line. But I still held onto a glimmer of hope, thinking that maybe one day, Oliver would change. But it seems now, he's not even worth mentioning. How could he be compared to that moonlight? I chuckled self-deprecatingly. I took a deep breath. I accepted the wine glass Sophia handed me. I don't owe you anything. After he said that, he downed the wine in one go. The spiciness spread throughout my body. A dizzy feeling surged in my brain. Even though I'm pregnant, my tolerance for alcohol shouldn't be this bad. What is happening to me? Just when I was puzzled, I suddenly heard a scream. Oliver, Oliver, it seems my sister-in-law is bleeding. There's been bleeding. A harsh sound keeps echoing in my ears. When I opened my eyes again, before me was a sea of white. Emily, you've finally woken up. Oliver looks very disheveled. His eyes are red. He murmurs softly, Child, my child. The child is doing well, just a bit smaller than usual, currently in an incubator. Oliver notices the change in my emotions. He comforts me softly. Sophia says sternly, Emily, I need to talk to you. Oliver had a child for you. He hasn't rested for 3 days. You just woke up. Instead of caring for him, you only care about the child. It's truly heartbreaking. Hearing Sophia's words, I suddenly felt a surge of anger. I quickly pushed Oliver's hand away. I shouted, Get away, you all hurry and leave. I shouted uncontrollably. This made Oliver and his friends very unhappy. Emily, Sophia is also doing this for my sake. You really don't have to do this. Yeah, sis-in-law, to have a baby for you. We've been here accompanying you for so many days. You don't even say thank you. And yet you want us to leave. Oliver is too good to you. Let's go, Oliver. Don't listen to her anymore. She doesn't understand your kindness at all. Complaints echoed in my ears. It made me increasingly irritated. I kept my head down, silently. That should be enough. Oliver spoke up. The once noisy ward fell silent immediately. He was just about to speak. Sophia interrupted him with an apologetic voice. Emily, I'm sorry. I was too worried about Oliver. I was a bit harsh when I spoke earlier. Don't take it to heart. Sophia's tears were welling in her eyes. In just a few seconds, they slid down her beautiful face. Oliver watched Sophia cry. His gaze was somewhat dazed, as if he were reminiscing about the time they spent together. It's not your fault, Emily, apologize to Sophia, then this matter will be over. After Sophia was softly comforted, Oliver looked coldly at me, hearing his voice. I slowly raised my head. My swollen red eyes looked at him. Oliver. Sophia caused me to give birth prematurely. As soon as I finished speaking, Oliver frowned. Let the past be the past. You always bring these things up. It's really pointless. Sophia noticed that Oliver was angry and started to sob quietly as well. Oliver, I'm doing just fine as long as Emily is happy. It's okay if I suffer a little. Sophia is becoming more obvious. The previously silent crowd can no longer stand it. Someone said to Emily, Emily, we call you sister-in-law. It's because of Oliver's reputation. What makes you think you can compare to Sophia? You apologized to Sophia today. This way, you can continue to stay in this circle. If you are unwilling, don't expect us to call you sister-in-law anymore. Their words are becoming increasingly harsh. But Oliver shows no intention of stopping it. You think so too, right? Oliver, I calmly asked him, but Oliver said nothing. His silence felt like the final blow to me. The string that had been taut in my mind suddenly snapped. I couldn't control myself. I started to laugh out loud. Ha ha ha, all right. That's just great. Oliver, you did really well. I barely support my body. Grab the water cup next to you, threw everything I had towards Sophia. Walk quickly. You all go. I don't want to see you again. Go away. She has tears all over her face, only to be met with ridicule. Emily, I think you need to calm down a bit. Wait for you to calm down. Apologize to my friend again. Oliver coldly dropped this sentence. Then he left with his friends, watching them leave. My tense nerves finally relaxed. Just at this moment, the door of the ward rang again. I didn't tell you to leave. Why are you back again, Emily? What's wrong with you? Gentle voice. For me, now it feels like a kind of redemption. Mom, I looked at my mother-in-law's familiar face. Teardrops flowed uncontrollably. My mother-in-law saw me like this. Her face showed a look of concern. She quickly hugged me tightly. She softly comforted me. Emily, don't be afraid. Your mom is here. She gently patted my back. My anxious feelings gradually calmed down. Once I was completely calm, my mother-in-law began to speak. Emily, if I had known your due date would be earlier, I wouldn't have gone on the business trip. It was better that she didn't mention it. As soon as she brought up the topic of childbirth, those emotions surged up again. I held my mother-in-law's hand and couldn't stop shaking. My mind was filled with Oliver and his friends criticizing me. My mother-in-law noticed my behavior. She realized something was off with me. She quickly changed the subject. Emily, have you thought of a name for the baby? Ethan. Mom, whether it's a boy or a girl. I want to name the child Ethan. Grandma listened to this name. She did not oppose it. She just sighed deeply. Her eyes were filled with compassion. Grandma said, our little Ethan has such a wonderful mother, Emily. He will definitely be happy in the future. Her words brought a bit of warmth to my originally cold body. A smile appeared on my face, one I hadn't worn in a long time. Emily, what you need most right now is to rest well. Be obedient. Just take a nap first. When you wake up, everything will be all right. I nodded slowly. I closed my eyes, waiting for my breathing to steady. Grandma walked out of the ward. Oliver, no matter where you are right now, come to the hospital immediately. Your wife is giving birth. You're not by her side. And you're still out busy with something. Oliver heard his mother-in-law's questioning. He was about to respond. Then the call dropped. He comforted Sophia for a bit. Then he hurried back to the hospital. His mother-in-law saw Oliver's disheveled appearance. She shot him a fierce glare. Your wife is giving birth. No matter what, you need to be there for her. Mom, what do you mean I didn't accompany her? I'm here to take care of her. I haven't slept much for several days. Isn't that enough? His mother-in-law heard Oliver defending himself. She immediately shot him another glare. She said, what about Emily? It's one thing if she doesn't appreciate it, but to insult my friend is unacceptable. Those friends of yours, how can they compare to Emily? In a bit you go in, apologize to her properly. Between husband and wife, there's nothing that can't be resolved. Oliver reluctantly nodded. I followed my mother-in-law into the hospital room. I couldn't sleep very soundly. My mother-in-law had an argument with Oliver. That woke me up. My mother-in-law saw that I was awake. She glared at Oliver. Then she said to me, Emily, I was wrong just now. Don't be angry anymore. Oliver wanted to hold my hand. I pulled away. Seeing that I was unwilling, Oliver's expression immediately changed. I was about to get angry. The nurse taking care of me hurried into the room. She shouted, Emily, your child is in trouble. Hearing this, I couldn't care less about the pain in my body. I stumbled and ran towards the doctor's office. Seeing this, Oliver quickly walked over. He reached my side and picked me up in his arms. Emily, I'll carry you. My mother-in-law watched Oliver's actions. Her eyes were filled with relief. She asked Emily, before giving birth, did you drink? The doctor said to her, if you drank alcohol during pregnancy, now the child has problems. It's very likely due to the effects of alcohol, and given the current situation, even if we actively treat it, the child may still have some sequelae. The doctor's serious voice echoed in my ears. That painful memory surged back to my mind. My mind was filled with memories of Sophia urging me to drink. Oliver's indifferent expression. No, I didn't. They forced me to do it. It's all their fault. They are the ones who harmed my child. It's them. The doctor frowned upon seeing my condition. With a serious expression, he turned to Oliver and said, Emily is currently suffering from severe postpartum depression. Emily is currently suffering from severe postpartum depression. Your family must pay extra attention. Don't provoke her. Grandma heard the doctor speaking. She turned to look at me. Her eyes were filled with worry. She asked the doctor, Doctor, what should we do to help Emily get better? The doctor gave Grandma detailed instructions. She carefully noted down every point. Grandma said to the doctor, please take care of the child's treatment. Oliver, next, Emily will go through a particularly difficult time. You must stay with her and persevere. Oliver understood that my premature birth was due to that drink. He felt a deep sense of guilt, so he agreed without hesitation. In the following month, Oliver was very obedient to me, and he no longer socialized with his friends. With his company, my condition gradually improved. It's just that my little Ethan has some intellectual issues. He may not be able to grow normally in the future. However, you really don't need to worry at all. He has such loving parents, he will surely have a good life. After I fully recover, Oliver also put his energy back into work. Every night he goes home. As soon as I smell that perfume, I feel particularly agitated. I can't help but loudly question him again and again. Oliver felt helpless. He patiently explained, but the more I asked, the more agitated I became in helplessness. He had no choice but to replace all his assistants with men. He thought that this way, I wouldn't cause a scene anymore, but in fact, I made scenes even more frequently than before. I wouldn't let him socialize, nor would I allow him to interact with strangers. He could only revolve around me. The night before Ethan's birthday, we had the most intense argument ever. I said, Oliver, I have already said, I don't like Sophia, and I don't like your friends. Ethan's birthday, I don't want to see them. Emily, if you keep this up, it's going too far. To take care of your feelings this year, I have almost lost contact with them. They just want to attend Ethan's birthday. Why are you unhappy? Oliver's words made me very angry. I said, Oliver, don't forget, Ethan might not even be able to go to school in the future. Why is this happening? Isn't this all caused by them? Isn't it also caused by you? The more I talk, the angrier I get. The anger in my chest kept surging. I couldn't help but throw the glass beside me out. The glass smashed on the ground. Shards flew everywhere. It cut Oliver's face. Oliver, who originally didn't want to hold this against me, felt a bit of pain on his face. Immediately grabbed my wrist tightly. Emily, how long are you going to bring this up? The past year. Haven't I been trying to make up for it all along? What exactly do I need to do for you to be satisfied? Can't you think for me just this once? This year's concessions, what I got in return was not peace. Instead, it was more intense conflict. Emily, I have a clear conscience. There's nothing more to say to you. Oliver pushed me hard to the ground. He walked away without looking back. I stared at the deep purple mark on my wrist. My heart was filled with despair. What exactly went wrong between Oliver and me? How did it turn out like this? Am I overthinking things? I started to doubt myself. At that moment, Nanny Aunt Mary's panicked voice suddenly rang out. Emily is in trouble. Ethan was playing with his toys and suddenly collapsed as soon as Aunt Mary shouted. I immediately panicked. I didn't even have time to put on my shoes. Quickly pick up the unconscious Ethan. I took him to the hospital. You quickly pack some change of clothes and come over. After explaining everything to Aunt Mary, I immediately drove to the hospital. Although Ethan's condition has improved a lot, the doctor reminded me the risk of relapse still exists. If a relapse occurs, the chances of recovery will be very slim. It could even endanger his life. After I sent Ethan to the hospital, I sat alone on a bench in the corridor. I slowly took out my phone. I dialed Oliver's number. My mother-in-law hasn't gotten home yet. I can only rely on Oliver now, but I've called him several times. No one answered. Is he still angry with me to get him to answer my call? I lowered my stance. I sent him a message to apologize, but Oliver still didn't respond. I looked at the seemingly endless corridor. The sound of my heartbeat grew heavier in my ears. The red light is still on. I feel a bit helpless. I picked up my phone again. I called Oliver. This time, the call finally went through. I was just about to speak when Sophia's voice came through. Emily, why are you like this? Oliver isn't answering your calls. Don't you understand what he means? Sophia's voice came through again. Emily, you're always so boring. These words filled me with deep sadness. I clenched my fist tightly. I tried hard to suppress my inner anger. I don't care what your relationship with Oliver is. Make him answer the phone right now. Oliver is busy right now. He doesn't have time to answer your call. I was just about to continue speaking. Suddenly, a faint moan and heavy breathing came from the other end of the line. This sound is all too familiar to me. No wonder Sophia said Oliver was busy. He really is extremely busy. My own child's fate is uncertain. He still has the heart to do those things. The pain all over my body feels like being pricked by needles. It's suffocating me. Why am I clearly prepared for this? But after knowing the truth, my heart still hurts like this. Emily, a gentle voice brought me back to my senses. I saw it was Ethan's attending physician. Hope immediately flickered in my eyes. Dr. Smith, Ethan will be okay, right? I looked at the doctor. He also showed a look of compassion on his face. The doctor said to me, Emily, Ethan is doing well right now. After hearing that, my face was filled with surprise. I asked Dr. Smith, are you lying to me? But he didn't answer. He just looked at me in silence. Come on, say something. Hurry up and speak. My voice became increasingly agitated. Why, it's just a little bit short. Why are you treating me like this? Ethan's birthday is coming soon. There's just a little bit of time left. Why, can't we wait a little longer? I leaned against the corner, feeling listless. My arms are covered in scars. Ethan, I'm sorry. It's all Mom's fault. Mom didn't take good care of you. Mom shouldn't have left you alone. Ethan, don't worry. Mom will be here with you soon. I muttered to myself softly. I slowly walked towards the top floor, standing at the edge of the rooftop. The evening breeze was blowing. I felt particularly calm. For me, the height of over 10 stories doesn't scare me. Instead, it feels like a release. I thought to myself, Ethan, don't be afraid. Mom is here with you now. I just lifted my foot. I felt a warmth in my wrist. Emily, I heard that voice. I slowly turned around. I saw my mother-in-law standing there. I forced a smile, but it looked worse than crying. I said, Mom, you're here. I said to my mother. Mom, Emily isn't very smart. Ethan, I lost Ethan. My mother-in-law heard what I said. Teardrops flowed down her cheeks. Her face was filled with heartache. Emily is not foolish. Ethan is just playing hide and seek with you. He just hid away. You and Mom should go find him. Okay, as my mother-in-law said this, her other hand reached out to me. I looked at her hand, and I really wanted to grab it, but what reason do I have to continue holding on? My parents have long left me due to a car accident. Now, even Ethan is gone. I really can't think of any other reasons. Is it for my mother-in-law? But she is Oliver's mother, not mine, in a daze. I seem to see the figures of my parents and Ethan. Don't go. I'm coming right now. Oliver woke up from his hangover. He immediately saw Sophia next to him. He couldn't help but frown. All he remembered was having an argument with Emily. Then he went to the bar to drink. There he met Sophia. He had a drink with her. As for what happened afterwards, he couldn't remember at all. Did he really do something to hurt Emily? As Oliver was still puzzled, Sophia also woke up. She saw Oliver and immediately jumped into his arms. Oliver, let's make up. You and Emily have a child. I don't mind either. Oliver heard Sophia's words. He showed a look of confusion on his face. Sophia, what are you talking about? We ended a long time ago, and I am already married with a child. Sophia didn't expect Oliver to say that. She unconsciously bit her lip harder. Blood oozed from her lips. She had just started to speak, but we already was interrupted by Oliver. Oliver said, Sophia, let's just treat yesterday as a dream. I will compensate you. As for the rest, don't think too much about it. In the past, Oliver did have feelings for Sophia, but over the past year, after returning to his family, being with Emily and their child gave him a sense of security. As for the idea of starting anew with Sophia, he no longer considered it. Let's just pretend last night never happened. Today is Ethan's birthday. He needs to get home early. Oliver is holding the gift he bought for Ethan. He rushed home quickly. Only Aunt Mary is at home. Aunt Mary sees Oliver return. Her face is full of anxiety. "Mr. Oliver, how is Ethan's rescue going?" The doctor asks, "Is the situation serious, Ethan?" "She is being resuscitated. Is the doctor here?" Oliver hurriedly grabs Aunt Mary's shoulders. He asks anxiously, "What happened to Ethan?" His expression looks very tense. "Please tell me quickly. What happened to Ethan yesterday?" "Yesterday, Mr. Oliver, after you left. Ethan suddenly fainted. Suddenly fainted. Emily took her to the hospital." As soon as Aunt Mary finishes speaking, Aunt Mary's words had just finished. Oliver hurriedly drove to the hospital. He was looking around in the hospital lobby, finally saw my mother at the emergency room door. Oliver saw his grandmother with a bandage wrapped around her wrist. He felt very scared inside. He slowly walked up to his grandmother. He steadied himself. He asked softly, "Mom, how is Ethan doing now?" As soon as his grandmother heard Oliver's voice, anger immediately flared in her eyes. Her body began to tremble uncontrollably. She raised her hand. With a loud slap, the crisp sound of the slap echoed in the hallway. Oliver's cheek instantly swelled up. "You are being unreasonable. When Emily needed you, where were you?" Oliver understood that his relationship with Sophia couldn't be made public, so he just made a few casual remarks. His grandmother didn't ask further, but she slapped him again. Oliver realized he had made a mistake. He didn't argue. He obediently knelt down. About an hour later, the doctor who saved me finally walked out of the emergency room. He told me, "Emily is no longer in danger. She cannot be stimulated anymore. You must go along with her." Grandma nodded. She kicked Oliver. "What are you daydreaming about? Hurry and go buy something for Emily to eat." Oliver quickly stood up. He walked briskly back to the ward with the items. As soon as he entered the room, he saw me weakly leaning against the bed. Seeing me like this, there was a hint of worry in Oliver's eyes. "Emily, I bought your favorite food. You should eat some first." After he said that, he placed the plastic bag on the bed. I glanced over. I saw that it was all my favorite food inside. I couldn't help but cry. Look, he knows exactly what I like. But after so many years of marriage, Oliver has always pretended not to see. Let me struggle alone. Oliver saw me crying. He immediately panicked. "Emily, don't cry anymore. If you don't like it, I can go buy you some more." I cried for a long time. Finally, I stopped. My eyes were swollen like walnuts. "Emily, be good. First, eat something. We can talk about other things later. Grandma got hurt trying to save me. I don't want to worry her anymore." I tore apart my favorite bread. Just after taking a bite, I suddenly felt nauseous. I threw up everything I had eaten. After the doctor examined me, he didn't find a specific reason. He only suggested that I try different foods. Grandma was worried my body couldn't handle it, so she had Aunt Mary bring me some porridge. I took a few sips of the porridge. My body, which was originally cold, slowly warmed up. Grandma saw that I was feeling better, gently touched my face and said, "Emily, your mom is here taking care of you. You will get better soon. Don't worry, Emily. Both your mom and I are here. We are here to keep you company. You can rest assured." Oliver heard his grandmother's voice. He immediately responded. I gently shook my head. "Oliver, let's get a divorce." "Emily, what did you say? You want to divorce me? Why, what did I do wrong?" Oliver looked at me in shock. His tone was filled with confusion. "We already have Ethan. Do you want him to be unhappy, or are you still upset with me because of Ethan?" "Don't worry. I won't contact them anymore. I will focus on being with you and Ethan. Is that okay, Emily? Let's not get a divorce. Is that okay?" Oliver's pleading tone makes me feel very uncomfortable. If Ethan hadn't had an accident, Oliver wouldn't have betrayed me either. I might have forgiven him. After all, someone as good as my mother-in-law, I may never meet again, but do I deserve it? I don't deserve it. After being entangled with Oliver for so many years, I'm really tired. No other reason, just tired. Between us, there's no need to continue. As soon as I finished speaking, Oliver suddenly panicked. He slowly approached me, gently leaned by the bedside, whispered, "Emily, tell me, what don't you like about me? I will change. I'll keep changing until you're satisfied. I will listen to you from now on. Is that okay, Emily? As long as you don't get a divorce. I'm willing to do anything." Really, Oliver's gaze seems very sincere, but I feel that sincerity carries a hint of sarcasm, belated affection. It's hardly worth mentioning. I don't need it anymore. He has already arrived. What's the use of it? Oliver noticed my lack of response. He stepped a little closer to me. "Emily, this time I will definitely succeed. Trust me just this once." "Okay, please." I coldly pushed Oliver's hand away. "You want me to believe you? Fine. Then you might as well die." I will only believe you if you die. Oliver looked at her in shock. Emily, how did you end up like this? How did it become like this? I heard Oliver's voice. I coldly smiled. You know why it has come to this, from the time we got married until now. How have you treated me? This is emotional abuse. It's even more so after getting pregnant. Not to mention that Sophia has come back. That's right. I hold a grudge against you because of Ethan. If it weren't for that drink. Ethan should be growing up healthy now. It's all because of your selfishness. Ethan had to bear the consequences for you. Oliver, how can you have the face to ask for my forgiveness? My voice is loud and powerful. Oliver looks completely listless. He remained silent for a while. He opened his mouth. In the end, he only whispered, I'm sorry, so can you leave now? I don't want to see you again. Oliver could tell from my firm tone. After a brief explanation, he left. He walked out of the ward. But he didn't leave. Grandma watched Oliver's back. She didn't say a word to advise him. Emily, you just rest assured. I will handle the divorce matter. I nodded. I lay down on the bed. Grandma saw that I was resting, so she left the ward. Oliver saw Grandma was about to leave. His face was filled with anxiety. Mom, please help me. I really don't want to be separated from Emily. Could you say something nice on my behalf? She likes me so much. She will surely forgive me. Grandma looked at Oliver's current state. Her face was full of disappointment and helplessness. She initially raised her hand to slap Oliver again. But after thinking it over, she put her hand down. You and Emily are simply not meant to be. Just get a divorce. Maybe Emily will still have some good impression of you. Oliver really couldn't understand why his mother was not on his side. Mom, what did I do wrong? Why do you always not support me? I really want to be with Emily until the end. Grandma suddenly grabbed Oliver, dragging him towards the morgue. Oliver felt a chilling breeze around him. He couldn't help but shiver. Mom, why did you bring me here? It feels so eerie. Ethan is inside on such a cold day. He's inside. What's wrong? Oliver's words were not yet finished. Suddenly, he understood. Ethan, As Oliver spoke, his voice was clearly trembling. Seeing Grandma nod, he collapsed onto the ground. He muttered to himself, This is impossible. What is going on? Isn't today Ethan's birthday? How could this happen? He's still so young. Mom, what happened to Ethan? When did it happen? Last night. As soon as Grandma's voice came through, Oliver's anger surged up instantly. Why didn't you tell me? Why? When Oliver lost control of his emotions, Grandma slapped him. This caused him intense pain. Then he slowly calmed down. Emily has called you so many times. Did you answer? Where were you last night? As soon as Grandma finished speaking, Oliver quickly took out his phone to check. The screen showed several missed calls. He suddenly felt his heart sink to the bottom. When Emily was all alone, he was actually with Sophia. How could he do this? Thinking of this, Oliver kept slapping himself. I'm really terrible. How could I be so terrible? Grandma looked at Oliver's current state. She felt nothing inside. She said, If you really want to make amends, you should hurry up and divorce Emily. Oliver stood up. He said with a dazed expression, I understand. Then, he silently left. Later, the process of my divorce from Oliver went smoothly. I originally planned to move out of my mother-in-law's house, but she kept urging me to stay. I also found it hard to refuse. Actually, the most important thing is, I felt a long-lost warmth at my mother-in-law's place. After I was discharged from the hospital, Oliver moved out. Since then, I haven't heard from him. Until recently, I heard his name again from Sophia. Emily, you and Oliver are already divorced. Why do you still cling to him? Emily, your actions are really inappropriate. Sophia's voice echoed in the yard. She shouted excitedly, Oliver doesn't love you at all. You understand in less than a minute. Sophia's voice just disappeared. The mother-in-law stormed in, muttering to herself, What terrible luck. She didn't even see where this place was. Just barged in and started yelling. Emily, don't mind her. I understand what my mother-in-law means. I just nodded. Mom, I'm a bit tired. I'm going to rest first after I return to my room. The mother-in-law immediately called Oliver. Oliver, have I ever told you you can do whatever you want outside? But it absolutely cannot affect Emily. Are you treating my words like they're just background noise? If you can't handle Sophia, then I'll have to take over. As soon as Oliver heard Sophia's name, his expression immediately turned serious. I understand. I'll handle this matter. What method did Oliver use? Sophia has indeed quieted down, but she was only quiet for a while. One day, I was about to leave for class. Suddenly, I received a message from a stranger. The message said, he knows the real reason for Ethan's death. Upon seeing this message, I immediately thought it was Sophia's doing. Those things are in the past. I no longer care, and I don't want to care anymore. Sophia is like someone who can't be defeated. I blocked her once. She just called from another number. In the end, I really couldn't take it anymore, so I told her to bring out the evidence. I thought this would make Sophia stop bothering me. However, I really received a video. In the video, Oliver was sitting in the main seat, his lips slightly curled up. He said, "How can there be only one type of liquor? There needs to be more." Then the video suddenly cut off, although there's only this little bit of information. I also understand the situation back then. Ethan was killed by Oliver. Initially, Sophia just wanted to offer me a cup of white wine. Oliver thought that wasn't enough. He wanted to add something else. If he had drunk that cup of white wine back then, would Ethan's fate have been different? If he hadn't gone to find Oliver back then, this might not have happened at all. It was my fault. It's all my fault. Just when I was doubting myself, Sophia's message came through. "Emily, these issues were all caused by you. If you had married Oliver back then, there wouldn't be these troubles. It's all your fault. Everything is your fault. You might as well just disappear." Looking at the last sentence of Sophia's message, I suddenly want to be free again. A flower battered by the storms. Can it continue to grow in this chaotic world? I'm walking in the middle of the road. There's a piercing horn blaring in my ears, but I didn't pay any attention. The years after getting married. It's been really tough. "Baby, Mom can finally be here with you." I suddenly turned around. I wanted to escape everything in this extreme way, just when I thought everything would come to an end. A gentle, yet worried voice of my mother-in-law suddenly came to my ears. "Emily, don't be afraid. Mom is here." I felt warmth coming from behind me. I couldn't control my emotions any longer. I cried out loud. When my parents passed away, I didn't shed a single tear. When Ethan left, I didn't cry then either. But now, I'm feeling pain because of this little warmth. I shouted, "Mom." My mother-in-law didn't say anything, just gently patting my back. "Emily, Mom will take you on a trip. Change of environment. Your mood might improve a lot." I understand what my mother-in-law means. I nodded in agreement. From now on, I am no longer alone. As for Oliver and Sophia, they are no longer important to me. Later on, my mother-in-law and I moved to a place with spring-like weather all year round. We settled there directly. Spring has arrived. The weather is warm. The flowers have bloomed. People's moods have also improved. Later on, I saw news about Oliver again. Oliver realized he had harmed Ethan. He couldn't bear the blow on a particularly warm, sunny day. He chose to accompany Ethan. I have my mom with me. I feel very happy.